you shouldn't talk about these issues. Don't talk about issues like abortion and gay issues and life and sexuality. Just talk about taxes all the time. Low taxes, low morals, the new conservatism. Yeah, I'm not going to do that. And people have said to me, well, you might alienate 50% of the country. Well, if 50% love what I'm saying, I'm doing pretty well, actually. And I've said this to politicians. Yeah, you might lose some people, but you'll gain many others as well. And maybe just speak your mind and hold on to virtues and integrity. So every week we have MoralMaze. This week, Jack Fonseca from Campaign Life Coalition, who hasn't bothered to shave today, joins us to discuss. Now, I have no idea where you stand on this, and you probably don't know where I stand, but it's interesting when people make comparisons between abortion and the Holocaust. And this is Michelle Duggar who really set off the conversation again.
Yeah, Michelle Duggar is the TLC star of the hit show 19 Kids and Counting. Mm-hmm. And last week at the Texas legislature, she was a speaker at a pro-life rally. And she made the comment that abortion is baby Holocaust. Those were her exact words. And it drew backlash from great thinkers like Perez Hilton, who blogged that, not cool, Michelle, you shouldn't compare abortion to the Holocaust. And there were other
But hold on, look. I've seen more intelligent things than Perez Hilton at the bottom of a pond. That's not the point. The point is there are people who are pro-life who would say, why do you have to draw in someone else's suffering? The Holocaust is unique. Pol Pot's massacre, Ukrainian starvation, all sorts of terrible things have happened. They are specific. Why do you have to use one phrase about something else which is horrific?
You know, I'll tell you what, in my view, describing abortion as a Holocaust is perfectly fitting, and it's because of two dimensions, character and scale. And I believe that the Nazi Holocaust is of the same character as abortion.
Motive?
In both cases, it involves the systematic targeting of a vulnerable group of human beings for extermination. And on the scale, on the dimensional scale, the scale of dimension, we have the sheer numbers.
What about motive, though? When a woman, the vast majority of women who have abortions are doing so completely influenced by propaganda, if you like, that what they're doing is benign. There's nothing wrong with it. This is not the case for the Nazi attempt at genocide. The motivation is totally different.
But the result is the same. You end up with a massive pile of dead bodies in the millions. With the Jewish Holocaust, we have 6 million dead. And with abortion, we have in America alone, since Roe versus Wade, 55 million dead. And I would challenge anyone to look up photos of aborted fetuses next to photos of the carnage of the Holocaust, and the similarities are amazing.
You don't think that you're alienating people who might be on your side?
No, I'll tell you
we have a vast vocabulary. We can describe the suffering and I believe the evil of abortion without using something. Look, let's be absolutely candid here. I understand, and I come from a Jewish background, that sometimes I want to say to some Jewish activists, will you please shut up, you know. We know. No suffering is exclusive to any one ethnic group. Pretty much everyone has suffered at some point. You know, try looking at someone from Korea and telling them you've never suffered. What about Japanese occupation?
But the scale
every group. But why do you have to take? The word Holocaust is not specific to Jewish suffering, but it's become really another version, another word for Shoah. Why do you have to use it? Why not just say the horror that is abortion?
But it's fitting. It's fitting on the character. A human life is a human life, and it's fitting on the scale. We have 6 million murdered Jews, and we have 55 million dead babies. But on the scale, there's, we don't have examples throughout history that many that the scale is that huge. And it's very fitting. And they're innocent. A human life is a human life. And so it's fitting on both counts.
I'm ambivalent about it. The word Holocaust has always existed, but it became into popular usage to describe what happened during the Second World War to Jews and non-Jews under the Nazi regime. I just don't know if it's beneficial or ethical to use it to describe abortion. And you know how pro-life I am. I don't know. I haven't made up my mind on this one yet. Let's move on to scientists creating human liver, I should say. Human life. Scientists creating human liver from stem cells. What sort of stem cells?
Yeah, this is something that heavy drinkers who are watching right now may raise a glass to. What happened was a Japanese research team created a functioning human liver from stem cells, from skin and blood stem cells.
Yeah.
And what they did was they took some skin cells and they reprogrammed them. They had blank stem cells, reprogrammed them into the 3 different type of liver cells that naturally come together and form in the human body to grow into a functioning liver. So they put them together and found that they did grow and matured, and then they put them into mice, and they formed liver buds. They connected into the mouse host's blood system.
Good or bad thing?
This is a good thing on 2 counts. One, in relation to the whole battle between embryonic stem cells versus adult stem cells, and also on the organ donation and brain death criteria. Yeah. There's been a war raging in the scientific world between the use of, or the research using embryonic stem cells, which involves creating human beings and then killing them to harvest their body parts, versus adult stem cells, which you can take from your own skin or blood and reprogram them. So this is, once again, this shows that that we've had a breakthrough using ethical stem cells. There's about 80 cures that have occurred through the use of ethical adult stem cells, none with embryonic.
Yeah, let's talk about this, because it can be very confusing, and I think people are purposely misleading the public here. Only some sort of fanatic will be against the use of stem cells. There's no sense to it at all. We're talking about embryonic stem cells. Stem cells from cadavers, from our own skin, all sorts of things. It's not that difficult. The scientific results from adult stem cells are overwhelmingly positive. From embryonic stem cells, they're very troubling.
It's zero. There's been 0 cures.
Yet the obsession, not from pro-lifers, but from the other side, is all about embryonic stem cells. It's simply not an issue. If you speak to doctors and scientists in this area, they say, well, we're not really that interested in the embryonic stem cells. But it's a way to bash pro-lifers.
Yeah. Well, normally, science follows the results.
Yeah.
It follows the path of least resistance. So if a particular path in regenerative medicine, like adult stem cells, is the one that's producing all the cures, that's where the research goes.
I don't think we even have any coverage of this, but I just wanted to ask you, in Texas, during the debate over abortion, people who supported the right of a woman to abort her child brought along to the demonstration urine, feces in bottles, used tampons, all to throw at the pro-lifers. Now, this was reported fairly widely, but not in the mainstream media.
No.
These were the people who demanded the dignity of a woman's right to choose to abort, and they came with all this literally crap to throw at their opponents.
And not only that, but at one point, the pro-life people in the audience started singing Amazing Grace. And the pro-abortion protesters started chanting, "Hail Satan."
Yes, and this, if anyone doubts this, please Google it. Amazing Grace was written by John Newton, who was a slaver. He enslaved Africans, he was converted to Christianity, changed his life, and campaigned against slavery. From then on, wrote Amazing Grace. The pro-lifers are singing this, and you can hear them, they're saying, "Hail Satan, hail Satan," and they bring along urine. And it's a strange world. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome, thank you.